So when the calendar flips to that last part of the year, we're all sort of culturally programmed to picture one thing, right?
hmm That idealized holiday image.
Exactly. That
Hmm.
bright, warm picture, twinkling lights, big celebrations, and this almost forced, undeniable joy.
That image is incredibly powerful. And look, for some people, it's absolutely true, but we have to recognize the immense societal pressure that image creates.
Right.
Because for so many others, and I mean a really significant number of people, this time of year isn't about celebration at all. It's defined by a profound sense of grief or crippling loneliness, exclusion, or just a deep, heavy silence.
And that contrast, the gulf between that expectation and the reality, that's exactly what the sources you shared with us dive into. So today we are doing a deep dive into this remarkable psychological model.
Developed by Dr. Shungum Gadza.
Yes, the Six Stages Framework, or SSF. And it just completely reinterprets the festive season. It says this time isn't just a few weeks on a calendar. It's actually a 12-stage spectrum of emotional states.
It really is a roadmap for empathy. The framework's core mission is social inclusion. It forces us to stop adhering to these outdated, commercialized traditions and start building meaningful human connections.
So it validates the experiences.
It validates the immense range of experiences people carry from, profound loss all the way to active joy.
And the scope is massive.
Yeah.
This framework spans from deep despair at stage 96, which we'll explore as basically being in pure survival mode,
All the way up to stage +6.
active community leadership. And if we can master this structure, it gives us the ability to not just recognize where we are, but, and this is crucial, to identify and acknowledge the invisible struggles of others.
What makes it so powerful is that it provides structure where chaos usually reigns. It's designed to build these bridges of empathy, as you said, by giving us a vocabulary for those diverse emotional realities. It finally lets us move past that painful, simplistic assumption that everyone is just automatically filled with festive joy.
Okay, so let's jump into the dark side of that spectrum first, the negative axis. That's stages -6 to -1. This is where we confront the invisible struggles that really define the season for the most vulnerable among us.
And we have to start at the furthest point, stage -6. Despair and rejection. This is, this is the definition of profound exclusion.
The characteristics are just, well, they're overwhelming. Individuals at this stage feel deep abandonment, complete rejection.
Yeah, they feel utterly overlooked by society, as if the world is just marching on and they are standing still, or worse, falling.
And they're not thinking about the holidays.
No, not at all. They're operating purely in survival mode. They're preoccupied with fundamental existential needs, shelter, managing hunger, dealing with acute, crushing grief, or surviving a crisis.
Right.
For someone in, say, a refugee camp or battling homelessness or facing a huge loss, the sources note that the entire idea of a holiday celebration feels distant or even absurd. It just has no relevance when your whole day is about survival.
The framework has this incredible analogy here that really helps us grasp the weight of this stage.
The underwater one.
Yes, stage 96 is like being submerged deep underwater. There's a bright, noisy party happening on a boat far above the surface. You can maybe see the faint, blurry glow of the lights.
But the sounds of laughter and music, they just don't penetrate the water. Your entire reality is just consumed by this crushing, isolating pressure of the depths.
That imagery really drives home the scale of the challenge.
It does, and this is why the framework here, it doesn't offer a suggestion for celebration. It offers a clear survival guide. The one thing you can do for stage 96 is all about immediate necessity.
Basic agency.
Exactly. Ask for help. Go to a shelter. Call a helpline. You are not alone. That very act of asking is a massive step away from rejection.
That transition from despair to the other stages, the ones closer to the middle, it's fascinating because it seems to be a progression from pure survival to, creating psychological defenses?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Once an individual has enough energy to feel something other than just despair, they often move to stage magnified 5. Bitterness and anger,
A protective shield.
a necessary one, often. They're now actively observing the joy above them, and that inner monologue shifts from, I am forgotten, to something more like, I'm tired of watching others celebrate. Why should they get to be happy?
So the anger is actually a shield against just dissolving. It's an assertion of self, even if it's negative.
Precisely. It's agency, but through hostility. The pain hasn't gone away, but now it's being projected outward, and the recommended action here reflects that.
What's the tip?
Write out your anger. Scream into a pillow. Your feelings are valid. It's about acknowledging the pain without letting it completely consume you.
And then once that initial raw anger maybe subsides a bit, Where does that pain go? I mean, how does the framework see the difference between that active hostility of a -5 and, say, the more passive retreat at stage -4?
Well, stage Nick 4 is isolation and alienation. This is where the person stops actively lashing out and starts actively retreating. They move away from the boat, so to speak, watching from a distance, feeling completely invisible.
Uninvited.
Totally uninvited. That emotional energy you need for the anger of -5 is exhausting. So they pull inward, they choose separation.
So they still feel the pain, but now they're just managing it by making themselves small.
Yes. And the path back to connection has to start just as small. The tip for stage -4 isn't about, joining a big party. It's about micro connection. Say hello to someone else who might be alone. Just one small, unpressured contact to break that illusion of total invisibility.
And the final defense mechanism on this side, and this is one I think we probably all encounter without realizing it, is stage -3, pretending or masking.
Oh, absolutely. It's the highest functioning defense. This is the exhaustion of going through the motions. They show up, they smile for the holiday photos, they exchange the gifts.
But it's all hollow.
Completely. It's performed joy, not real connection, and it's utterly draining.
It must require a massive amount of internal energy to keep that performance up, especially when you're still carrying all the pain from -4 and -5 underneath.
For sure. The framework tells us that when we see someone at this stage, we have to look deeper than just the surface. And the guidance for the person who's masking is to give themselves permission to be real.
To stop performing.
Exactly. Take off the mask, say no, rest, be real with someone safe. That permission to just stop is the critical step toward any kind of internal honesty.
That actually brings us beautifully to the pivot, the center stages, from -2 to +2. So how do we start breaking down those complex, years in the making protective shields we just built up?
It happens in these really subtle shifts, an internal softening. So first we encounter stage -2, which is cynicism.
The intellectual dismissal. It's all commercial or it's all fake anyway.
I know how the magic trick works.
Yeah,
You got it. It's using that dismissal as a form of protection.
Right. If you believe it's all fake, you can't be disappointed when it doesn't bring you joy.
Exactly. It's a very common shield against vulnerability. But the amazing thing about the framework here is that the suggested tip is equally intellectual, but it's framed towards softness.
Oh, so?
It says, find one small thing that feels real. A sunrise, a single meaningful memory, a favorite song, something verifiable that exists outside all the commercial hype. You just allow one tiny, genuine moment to exist and soften that rigid, cynical edge.
I like that. And right after cynicism is stage -1, numbness or resistance.
This is the person who avoids the emotional meaning entirely. They refuse to acknowledge the season's significance, saying, it's just another day, or I just don't feel anything.
It's interesting because you can see how far that is from stage -6 despair. In -6, the pain is active and consuming.
Right.
In -8, the person has actually achieved enough psychological stability to actively resist emotion. They're closed off,
Yeah.
but they're not drowning anymore.
That's a great observation, but that active resistance is still exhausting, and so the guide suggests a physical approach to interrupt that cycle.
A sensory reset.
Yes, try a sensory reset. A warm drink, focusing on gentle music, maybe standing barefoot on the grass. You start where your body is, and you bypass all those emotional and intellectual barriers. You let the physical world provide the first input.
Which brings us to the absolute center, stage 0, awareness. This is the quiet turning point of the whole framework.
It's the pause. It's not about finding joy. It's about pausing the fight against the season and just reflecting honestly on your own relationship with it.
Without judgment.
That's the key. It's that moment of self-kindness where you simply notice where you are on the spectrum. And the tip here sounds so simple, but it requires all that preceding work.
Journal. Light a candle. Pause. Be kind to yourself in the noticing.
Right. That act of noticing and accepting your current state is the key movement out of the negative axis.
And once awareness has taken root, we move into the positive. Stage +1, willingness.
This is that first flicker of hope. You acknowledge that, okay, maybe, just maybe, I can take one positive step.
And I really appreciate how the framework validates how small that step can be. It removes all the pressure of having to create some big hallmark moment overnight.
Yes, the tip validates that gentle start. Choose one gentle act, a walk, a message to an old friend, a deliberate 5-minute breathe. Small is enough. Willingness is just the permission to try without any guarantee of success.
And that sets the stage for +2. Curiosity. This is the first step outward, where we start to actively expand our perspective beyond our own pain or our own celebration.
Curiosity is so crucial because it moves us away from enforcing that single commercialized narrative. It encourages us to actively learn how different faiths, different cultures, even different families mark this time,
It's about making room.
making room for diversity, exactly. And the action is so simple but powerful. Ask someone what this season means to them. Let your world expand beyond your front door.
That is a perfect springboard. So now we pivot fully to the positive axis, stages +3 to +6. Here, the focus shifts entirely from that internal realization to active external contribution. The FSF defines true empathy as active, not passive.
Right, it's leadership-oriented. And that begins at stage +3, compassion. Having learned where we stand, we now use that understanding to notice who is hurting, who's isolated, who's forgotten. We move past just passively observing.
And we start actively reaching out.
Right, it's the difference between feeling sad for someone and actively doing something about it. You're choosing to see both the loud joy and the quiet pain in equal measure. And the tip here is concrete.
Donate time or kindness. Volunteer.
You become a stable source of light for other people.
Then the action escalates pretty dramatically at stage +4, empathy and inclusion.
It does. This stage demands systemic action. We're moving beyond just reaching out to making permanent, intentional space for diverse stories.
So this is where you leverage your social capital and influence.
Exactly. You're using the sealant to actively build bridges and challenge the very injustices that lead to stage 9 of a 6 in the first place. The framework suggests we host with intention, invite different voices to the table, and make sure spaces are accessible both physically and emotionally. It's about creating structure so everyone's story can actually be told.
Okay, now we're into the leadership stages, and as the critique notes, these focus on sustained impact that has to last way beyond the holiday party.
That's right. Stage +5 is community leadership. This is about moving past that burst of seasonal cheer, that December rush to, creating permanent structures where everyone feels they belong. And this is the key, all year round.
A consistent 365-day culture of proactive inclusion.
Yes. It means integrating the lessons of the framework into daily life, not just reserving them for one specific week. And the tip for these leaders emphasizes sustainability.
It's not about burnout.
No. It's model rest, boundaries, and generosity. Lead with softness. You're showing others that high-level empathy requires deliberate, protected effort.
And finally, stage +6, beacon of change. The zenith of empathy in this framework.
This is defined as fully embodying the true, non-commercial spirit of the season, giving hope, promoting peace, advocating for justice, and spreading genuine love. It's transformative leadership.
Rooted in empathy.
And the guidance emphasizes that sustainable change starts with small, daily, loving acts. It's a sustained mindset, not a heroic sprint. You're told to keep your heart wide open, but also protected so you can keep doing the work.
It's just incredible to see that full journey from the crushing pressure of 9 to 6 all the way to the restorative light of +6. The sources brought this all together with that great theatrical lighting board analogy.
That analogy is perfect for this empathetic shift. If you only focus on the bright spotlights, stages +4 to +6, you entirely miss the shadows. You miss the dim corners where people are struggling at metaphor, -6. Understanding the full 12-stage framework means you see the entire stage. You learn how to adjust those metaphorical sliders to ensure every single person feels accounted for, seen, and deliberately included in the light.
That visualization of active inclusion just changes the whole conversation. The source material refers back to that iconic and, let's be honest, historically passive line from the old Band-Aid song.
Do they know it's Christmas time at all?
Right.
And the SSF just reframes that question entirely. We stop asking that slightly passive, sort of charity-oriented question. Instead, we're challenged to ask questions that demand accountability and active engagement. Do we see who's left out? And how might we use our resources and influence to make space for them? This is the fundamental, necessary shift. It's about holding space for everyone's story.
And as we're navigating this spectrum, the survival guide aspects are so focused on self-care no matter your stage. The framework ensures that while we focus on others, we don't neglect our own resilience.
You have to. We must ask essential questions for self-protection, whether we're masking at Master 3 or leading at +5. What do I need right now to protect my peace?
How can I deliberately stay connected to myself, to my values, to others, or to some sense of meaning?
And vitally, who can I check in on and who can I allow to check in on me? Resilience, as the framework reminds us, is inherently relational. You can't achieve it purely in solitude.
So synthesizing this whole framework, We see it offers both a scaffold for deep, necessary resilience when you're facing your own pain, and also a very clear roadmap for active connection when you're ready to move outward.
Absolutely. Whether you find yourself submerged at stage -6, or you're navigating the protective shield of stage -2 cynicism, or you're actively building bridges at stage +4, the framework's ultimate goal is to validate your experience and let the season hold space for your story.
And to inspire you to hold compassionate space for the stories of others.
Exactly.
So we've taken a deep dive into the 12 stages of seasonal empathy, and we've realized it's not a countdown to a holiday at all. It's an invaluable roadmap for true empathy and proactive inclusion. The knowledge here is so powerful because it validates that wide spectrum of pain, and it encourages constructive, measurable action.
It centers human connection and emotional honesty over forced celebration, and that's the change we need.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to carry forward, based on the SSF. The framework reaches its highest practical level at stage +5, right? Emphasizing the creation of permanent belonging that exists outside the seasonal rush.
All year round.
So if true, intentional belonging is successfully created all year round, if those inclusive spaces are built and maintained from January to November, how might the entire emotional landscape of stage -6, that feeling of being completely forgotten by the world, how might that fundamentally change when the next holiday season finally arrives?